Hi, I'm divorce and family law attorney Kyle Scoresby. This video is about prenuptial agreements. In Arizona, the statute calls them premarital agreements, but the words are really interchangeable. Prenuptial, premarital agreement, same thing. When are premarital agreements usually used in Arizona? Well, when I see them, it's most commonly in second marriages. Maybe people got burned in their first divorce, they don't want to get burned again, so they decide to do a prenup the second time around. When the parties have a lot of assets, or I should say one party has a lot of assets, that person probably wants to do a prenup to protect those assets. The Arizona premarital agreement statute allows the parties to cover lots of different things in their premarital agreements. In fact, one thing parties can do is completely opt out of community property law. They can say in their premarital agreement that despite what Arizona community property law says, that everything they acquire during their marriage through their own industry will be their separate property. And so that's pretty common, where one spouse has a lot of assets and a lot going, maybe a business that they're engaged in that's generating a lot of income. They'll want to protect that and make sure that that income is not shared by their spouse once they're married. One thing that is a common mistake that's made is after people do a premarital agreement, they stick it in the drawer or on the shelf, they get married, everything's bliss, everything's happy, and they forget that they need to still be careful on how they handle their assets and their property during the marriage. If you want your premarital agreement to be as effective as possible, then during your marriage, you actually need to keep things separate. You don't want to do a premarital agreement if you're trying to protect your assets and then start acquiring real estate and putting it in both your names, or big joint bank accounts or investment accounts. You want to make sure you keep your assets separate during the marriage. A final point that is a critical one is that in negotiating a premarital agreement, both sides must have their own lawyers. It's not a specific requirement in the statute, but it's one of my requirements. When I do a premarital agreement for someone, I insist that their fiance has their own lawyer, because if both sides have a lawyer, the chances that that premarital agreement will be enforced if there's a divorce are almost 100%. If you're thinking about getting remarried or married and want to protect your assets, come to my office and have a consultation about whether a premarital agreement is right for you.